Good morning, Nigeria. We're still in the face of December proper. It's 20 days to Christmas and 26 days to the New Year. I'm so excited and deeply grateful to God to be able to sit here and discuss so many issues with you, my dear audience. It's with all gratitude I welcome you to the most unique platform you come across. That is Ways Breakfast, hashtag What Are You Saying? The premier platform for thought-provoking discussions on critical issues shaping Nigeria's future. I'm your anchor, Okikiola Taiwo Jalukmo, and I'm here alongside my ever-present sisters and co-anchors. They always storm off. Why do they call her GOAT? Greatest of all time. This is the right time to follow this conversation on Upgrade TV. We're discussing a current trend that has got everyone talking. And who better to bring it to you than my ladies? Good morning, Awatoshola and God's Beauty.
Good morning, Okiki. God, I beg.
Good morning, ladies, and good morning, everyone. Good morning, viewers.
How are you feeling?
Beautiful.
As always.
Feel blessed.
Tell me.
I feel good. I mean, yesterday was almost everyone's Spotify 2024 wrap-up, and my top person was An Endless Ocean. I mean, I never knew I listened to him that much in the whole of 2024.
Mine was Apple Music. Mine happened to be Ed Sheeran. I don't know why I'm stuck with that guy. And then Victoria, Orenze, all these guys just came and I was like, oh.
And then the highlight of my music rundown was DJ YK. Like, how on earth is DJ YK in my 2024?
A typical 9 to 5 baddie.
I'm sorry, but I'm disappointed in the rundown, not in myself.
Right.
Well, I said this morning I was going to ask, we're in December. What's that one thing you are grateful for?
Oh, God's Beauty, please start. I might need tissue to say this.
So tell me, God's Beauty, what's one thing you are grateful for?
It has to be for life. It has to be for connections. It has to be for, I think, family bonding, because I think they did a lot of that this year. It was a roller coaster of emotions and all of that. But I'm grateful for life because, from the beginning to the end, I think I just got sick once, right? And unlike usual, because my health can be very funny sometimes. So yeah, and connections, because I really had very good ones. Money came, some amounts that when I looked at my account, I wasn't sure that I'm going to get something like that this year. So yeah, many of that. So I'm grateful.
So I'm grateful on your behalf.
Cheers to 2025. More
Amen.
Money.
Hallelujah, someone.
Sorry, it's not a wine glass.
More money again and more money.
More money again.
Yes.
And more connections
That's
again.
it.
So tell me.
What am I most grateful for? For prayer answered. And for a supportive partner.
Right.
Yeah. I said so many things, cried so many times. That's when I saw my Spotify runner, and it was all Christian music. I knew that it was worth it because I cried, I prayed, and I'm so grateful to God that, excuse me, everything is now manifesting. And the one that I'm here to see it has manifested. Yeah.
Hallelujah.
Amen. How about you? Tell us.
Yes, please.
Well, for me, it's almost like 1 year after I've gotten so much more than I expected.
Amen.
Is like, I always say something, Eboluwa Oshefora. It means that whatever is given to you by God can never be bought with money, with wealth, with whatever. Everything from God is given to you in abundance and freely. So that, it just makes me feel like me December, me now, it's like 2 worlds apart. If anybody had asked me, I would have said, no, it's impossible, it can never happen. So that's one thing I'm very, very, very and extremely grateful for. I want the audience to tell us one thing they're grateful for on our YouTube channel at Official Upgrade TV. You should click the subscribe button also, like and share the link. Tune in to channel 155 on your Go TV and don't miss this. Let's go on a break right now, and when we return, we'll take you through the top stories across the globe. Stay with us. Great to have you back from that break. Now let us take a look at the news from the pages of today's paper. Today we'll highlight the top stories from The Punch, The Guardian, and The New York Times. Starting with the Guardian newspaper.
Oh, yes. Taking a good look at the Guardian newspaper, the major headline is not a good story. Most of the headlines on today's newspaper are not good stories, but of course we have to read them out. It's our dear country, Nigeria. The major headline is on antimicrobial awareness week, which says antibiotics abuse worsen drug resistance, claims 64,500 lives yearly. Causes of antibiotic resistance. We have about over prescribing of antibiotics, patients not finishing their treatment, overuse of antibiotics in livestock and fish farming, poor infection control in hospitals and clinics, lack of hygiene and poor sanitation, lack of new antibiotics being developed. And there's a latest statistic that says scourge affects 5 million, over 700 deaths globally, says WHO. We also have over 1.2 million Nigerians suffering from antibiotic resistance yearly. 1 in 5 deaths recorded among under 5. 86.5% of Nigerians use non-prescribed antibiotics and self-medicate. Honestly, almost every Nigerian is on this table. For toothache, we take antibiotics. For small headache, we take antibiotics. And we now overuse it. Forgetting the fact that that's also a form of drug abuse. Fine. Right. The first thing, you didn't collect prescription from a doctor or a medical practitioner. The second thing, you're overusing it. Now, we have over 64,500 lives yearly that die due to overusing of antibiotics.
But do you know that there's something called drug resistance test? Where you can know the kind of antibiotics that if you use one tablet is going to work for you, because sometimes you can use drugs like Ciprotab, and then when you use it the first time, in another 2-3 days you are back to that same ailment already, and then you'll be like, the drug did not work, and so you need to use like 5 packs at once.
For example, toothache. When you have toothache, when I had toothache then the first time, I was told to either remove a couple of my teeth or maybe get something done, or be on this purging drug. When you have flagyl, yeah, there's a very strong antibiotic people do not know. So I was using antibiotics. I was using flagyl every time to prevent the pain. The moment I feel the pain, I'm already taking 2 drugs, 2 tablets. I am causing too much harm to myself. I'm trying to prevent pain by taking antibiotics every time. So the moment you try to use it, everybody's guilty.
Everybody's a culprit here.
So please, let's try to change.
I don't know if I am, to be honest.
Do you always run a test anytime you feel ill?
And I don't take medications either.
You take injections?
I either take injections or I better don't take
it. Do you do a test before you take injections?
I think I do.
You think you do or
you're a culprit?
I'm trying to run away.
Don't run away. We're all culprits.
Away from that, we have another story that says why NIN has not been effective in stemming kidnapping. That is on page 29 of the Guardian newspaper. Denmark author, others lament loss of 200 billion naira to corruption in Nigeria. And the trendy sad story is on Dele Farotimi, Nigerian lawyer and human rights. Court remand Farotimi till December 10 for alleged defamation of Afe Babalola in his book, Criminal Justice System. This is pretty unfair. This is 2024, and if you are still dealing, just go to people's place to pick them up. But then until December 10, before we can decide or before we can put our mouth to say. Away from that, tax reform bills, Senate bows to pressure suspend hearings. Then another story says, and then PTL Fort Falano insists Port Harcourt refinery is producing fuel. I'll just mention one person's name, the Jemai Kemule. Away from that, the last but one story says, Oyo Osun residents will never allow APC back in power. Makinde says, this is Nigeria. I'm sorry, I do not believe that. And the final story on the Guardian newspaper reads, federal government ends 2.78 trillion naira taxes from telecoms tech companies in the first quarter of 2024. For more details of that, quickly turn to the business page, page 15, the business page of this newspaper. And I'd like to mention that Zenith Bank emerged Bank of the Year in Nigeria for, I mean, this is not the first time, this is not the second time. But this is, we just say a big congratulations to them.
I have like 3 or 4 Zenith Bank accounts because for some reasons NYSC gave me Zenith Bank. My second account was Zenith Bank. I think my last job to Zenith Bank, their salary account.
We need to
Zenith Bank.
pick an ambassadorial deal in you.
No, they shouldn't worry. But last year they showed me real shaggy, just trying to make simple transactions. So I think that was some upgrade there, because before that time, Zenith Bank was all right for me.
I mean, for me, I would just appreciate the lighting, the Christmas lighting on Lagos Island Road.
Yes.
Every year.
Every year.
For that, they win my Bank of the Year for transactions. God bless Nigeria.
So let's quickly go through the New York Times.
All right, straight into the international space, the New York Times newspaper, as usual. By the right side of the newspaper, we have South Korea forced pullback of marital law. Next to that, Justice Department confront test on 2 fronts. Worries agency won't remain apolitical. Middle of the newspaper, Justice Friends debate, who can judge them? Next to that, court returns to trans rights in major case. Beneath that, father's legacy is complicated by son's pardon. Next to that, which is the last headline on the newspaper, we have when cables break under the sea, a wireless world vulnerability is exposed. So the one I want to quickly touch on is court returns to trans rights in major case. So the United States Supreme Court is reviewing a Tennessee law that bans certain medical treatments like hormone therapy and puberty blockers for transgender youth. The decision could affect similar laws in over 20 states and shape how the Constitution's Equal Protection Clause protects transgender people. It also impacts health care access and the rights of transgender youth. Critics worry the law unfairly targets transgender children, denying them necessary medical care and potentially leading to mental health challenges. It also raises broader civil rights concerns. So honestly speaking, I can't wait to see what law they would finally put in, because in one place you're like, okay, we want those youth to live their life, right? This puberty blockers is something that we feel like might, I mean, at the end of the day, damage their health and all of that. But at the same time, you don't want to tamper with their rights. So it's more like, what exactly do we do? What kind of laws do we now put into the Constitution? Because one, I mean, citizens have the right to whatever they like. And there's also a right where, I mean, the transgenders are allowed to do whatever they feel like. If you say tomorrow you don't want to be a trans whatever, it's on you. If you say you want to be, it's on you, right? So there's a right that, I mean, guides them and protects them and all of that. But again, if you're not saying that these old puberty blockers, because it doesn't allow, I mean, a child that is just growing up have not yet known what these things are about. So if at the end of the day, probably the parents is looking at the child and saying, oh, I want you to be a male, I want you to be a female, and if the parents wants to give probably that child puberty blockers and all of these things, that's where I kind of agree for those rights to be limited. But again, it might just be you being against the transgender. I mean, that's how it's looking like. So honestly speaking, I can't wait to see what kind of law they now impute, so that it's not looking like they are against the transgender people. And yes, that's all I have for you.
Naturally, laws are necessarily never to
suit everybody, exactly.
100% of people.
Right.
But I still also feel that while growing up, I used to hear this, tomboy, effeminate, all those kind of stuff. But now it's now looking like those things are now being buried, where you know that they can call you tomboy, but you're still a girl. But children now grow up, and when they have those manly features like structures, and as I say, I think that I'm more of a boy than I am a girl, and then they want to now start changing that thing.
This is not to talk down on the entire LGBTQ community, but I saw a video online yesterday where a girl, she is a stud, and the guy was effeminate. And they said, oh, I am a masculine representing girl, and this is my girlfriend.
Right.
So the boy is the girl in the relationship, while the girl is the man in the relationship. I mean, I've never seen, I don't want to use the word confused, but I feel like there are a lot to deal with. You want me to understand you and respect you for who you are, but you have to explain yourself to me first, and I have to think about, okay, does it make sense? Okay, does not make sense. Let me just agree with you.
Just like what Okiki said, I think probably it's because the world is evolving, and that's why they said that. That's why people would say that there's some certain kind of information that I don't want to hear, I don't want to listen. Because back then, I mean, I used to be one of those girls that like used to be like a boy. I mean, back then I had like guys. I used to play basketball. I mean, that's how bad it was. You feel me? I used to dance. I used to be like one of those guys kind of thing. But I mean, now if you see a girl that is like that, the only thing that comes to your head is this one has to be part of the LGBT whatever.
I think it would have been
I think it's that
fine if we don't
information
name them.
and all of those things. I mean,
knowing that this is not going to be the topic of today, maybe one day we'll talk about the LGBTQ and then analyze them properly. But there are similar stories from The Guardian in the Punch newspaper right now. But I'm just going to take one story that caught my attention. That's federal government fires Togo Benin degree holders from MDAs. I don't know why this is happening. I remember that a lot of times there were fake degrees coming from those countries into Nigeria where they now want to do their masters. But there are also legit people who went to school there to use that 4 years to learn something. And this was due to a lot of, I think, strikes and all these things where you use like 10 years to do one particular course. And these other countries were offering 4 years to start, 4 years to finish. There's nothing like 4 years to start, 20 years to finish. So I wonder if they can, rather than just ban them completely, now verify those degrees, be sure that this person went from start to finish, and then allow that person move on with, you know, their life. But basically, that's all we can take on the papers for today. We'll go on a break right now, and when we come back, we'll come back with our topic for today. Stay with us.
Another is here. God's agenda for 2024 is wisdom. Wisdom is the principal thing that makes things work. Everybody needs the oil of wisdom. The challenges are changing dimensions. So the wisdom to deal with them must keep changing dimensions. It's time to get wiser.
God terminated 8 years barrenness in this exalted altar.
I get back to a set of twin baby boys at 50 years after 17 and a half years.
Lord, I need the baptism of this ever-winning wisdom. Shiloh 2024 is December 10 to 15. Thank you, Jesus. Amen.
Welcome back to the show. We'll be discussing genotype awareness, the double-edged sword, and I'll be guiding the conversation today. Genotype awareness is a topic that has been gaining attention in recent years, and for good reason. Knowing one's genotype can be a powerful tool for making informed decisions about health, relationship, and family planning. But like any powerful tool, it can also have its downsides. Today, we'll be exploring the advantages and disadvantages of genotype awareness, socially, emotionally, mentally, and physically. We'll be discussing how genotype awareness can impact relationships, self-esteem, and mental health. We'll also be examining physical implications of genotype awareness, including the risk of genetic disorders and the importance of premarital screening. But we won't just be focusing on the negative. We'll also be highlighting the many advantages of genotype awareness, including the ability to make informed decisions about health and relationships, and the potential to reduce the risk of genetic disorders. But first off, let's go back to the basics. But I will first ask my co-anchors the question. So that there's this thing that when you are a particular genotype, they'll say hot cake.
It's not a hot cake.
And then when there's another genotype, you hear dependent. And then when there's another one, it's like,
Chai.
God, I beg, chai. And then there's other ones that is like confusing. You don't even know if you
Yeah, you
cannot
day, exactly,
align.
Where you
like, bro.
day.
Exactly. So my first question is, God's beauty.
Good. Valid.
What is your
Important.
genotype?
AA actually.
you
It's not
AA?
that deep. Yes, we are all AA at home.
How many times have you checked?
Hey,
Do you know it changes?
the Lord of God.
How many times have
But
you checked?
I think I do it. Okay, so first of all, I'll start with for every time that I'm in a relationship, and I've been in a relationship for up to like 5 times. So I think I've done that for like 5 times.
You renew your vows every
Wait, let me get it. Let me get it. So anytime you're entering a new relationship,
And
you
trust
check.
me, that's not been too long. It's just
So you check.
these people want me to just
It's until I say we do before we check anything.
What? No.
Wait,
Like
no,
first off, when it comes to the whole relationship thing,
Yeah.
I'm not going to be with somebody that I'm not sure that I'm going to be with for the rest of my life.
Interesting.
So yeah, I mean, we have to be direct. Let's not come and be speaking Spanish here. Let's go straight.
So
Come on.
hot cake babe standing right there.
Yes,
God,
So
I
please
beg.
tell me, Omotoshola Sharimaki, what is your genotype?
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my humble and utmost
God, I
pleasure
beg.
to announce to everybody right here and to our audience that I belong to the hot cake genotype group, the AA
God, I
genotype
beg.
group.
Okay, so this is not going to be a shade to
Oh, yes,
any
it is.
other genotype, but this is like an AA table. I'm so
Oh,
sorry.
wow.
I don't know what else to say. It's not planned. It's just like, maybe that's why we are even on this table, because if we don't give it to you, how will you take it?
Right.
You understand? So it's very key to know your genotype. I mean, that's what I'm trying to drive at. And to know that, I read it somewhere that you have to have tested for at least 3 times for you to be able to say, I am so certain that I am of this genotype. But I remember that the last time I checked, that was when I was claiming AA at first, was at birth, when my mom was saying that it's like you are not. And then looking at my own family dynamics, my mom is AA, my mom is AS, my dad is AA. And to find out that most of the kids ended up being AS.
Yes, okay.
And then we are just like 2 that is
That
AA.
AA.
If not
Oh,
me,
wow.
if not just me, it's so crazy that most of the time when you see AA and AS, you expect that AA is supposed to be the one to take over most of the kids. But now you're not seeing that even as at back then, AS can overshadow AA and then now take the strains of almost all the kids if you have many kids. And for 7 of us, I think my mom just took 5 into her pocket.
Wow.
And then like 2 of us are just the one that followed my dad. But in terms of features, physical features, and we look more like my dad than my mom. But the most important thing that is necessary is that I think the DNA and the genotype. And then the genotype now says that that's like our composition generally, and that also determines what we want to do in terms of family. If some people will say, I have malaria this week, it's
Right.
because I'm AA.
I
Every
hear that- I
week
hear
I
that-
say
I
I
hear
have
that a
You
malaria.
lot.
hear that a lot.
I hear
And
that
then
a
some
lot.
will say, because I'm AS, that's why any small thing are falling sick.
You'll be shocked there are some people that believe that they are stronger AA. They are weaker AA.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, I've heard of a friend that said, I'm a stronger AA, I barely fall sick, and that's
Oh, wow.
Okay, that's fine. But now I would go straight to like defining what genotype means to us. A genotype is the complete set of genes that an individual possesses. It's like a blueprint that determines your traits, characteristics, and susceptibility to certain diseases. Genotype awareness is crucial for several reasons: disease prevention and management. Knowing your genotype can help you understand your risk of developing certain diseases, such as sickle cell anemia or cystic fibrosis. It's also important in family planning. Genotype awareness can inform family planning decisions, especially for couples who may be at the risk of passing on genetic disorders to their offspring. And lastly, genotype information can help healthcare providers tailor treatment plans to an individual's specific genotype or genetic profile. Some common genotypes include the AA, AS, and SS, which is the sickle cell genotype. Individuals with the SS genotype have sickle cell anemia, while those with the AS genotypes are carriers. I don't know. I think there's one video. I don't know if we were able to cue that video in where we have a lady talking about how it is for her, how it has been for her to manage being sickle cell. And I think this is very important for us to see. If we can play that a bit for us to listen.
It's just having crisis, going to the hospital, taking pain medication, you feel better, and then you repeat the cycle all over again. I wish that was the case, honestly. I wish it stopped there because people don't know how much complications and aftermath of those complications come with sickle cell. And this is all because two people decided that genotype was not important to them. Or they checked and they said, well, love conquers all, or miracle no dey tire Jesus, or we have the money, we can handle it. The truth is, yes, the parents may go through some kind of like stress, but it's the children that face all of the insanity that comes with being a sickle cell warrior, with all the complications, with all the everything. I wrote a list of some of the complications and aftermaths that I have faced since I had my first major crisis, which is leg ulcer. And I'm going to read the list to you guys. This is going to be long, but bear with me. The first thing is how it alters your body. I had leg ulcers 10, 11, 12 years ago. And when it started, the pain was so much that because of how painful it was to like put my feet straight on the ground to walk, I started to limp a bit, like little by little. And from limping to avoid the pain, 11, 12 years down the line now, I have a permanent limp that I've been praying to God to heal, to straighten out, because I tried one time to find out the cost to do a correctional surgery on the limp. This was as far back as 2016. It was going to cost about $15,000 to correct that limp. And the surgery was going to be about 12 hours. It was going to be a whole lot. So I said, no, I cannot go carry the one way past my power. Shebi is limp, we'll manage it. But in managing it now, I can't put my legs flat on the ground, which means I cannot wear flat slippers, which means I can't stand for long, which means when I have my bath, I have to sit because standing is stressful. It has altered so many things in my life that I can't even go into right now. Second one is pain medication. One of the complications of pain medication is addiction. So because of leg ulcers, the pain and everything, you have to be on pain medication. Now you're saying,
Well, I just had to share this video because when I watched this video, it was very emotional for me, seeing that there's somebody there who is willing to speak out. A lot of people with sickle cell anemia always tend to be in the shadows, not wanting to talk about these things. And when I saw the way she explained what it means to be informed about your position, your genotype, and the fact that a lot of people make decisions saying that miracle no dey tire Jesus, saying that, oh, love conquers all, saying that it doesn't matter, saying that we have the money. So I feel like right now, genotype awareness is so crucial at this time that we need to know. Not just because we want to get married now again. It's now on the fact that I need to know what works for me in order for me to live longer, in order for me to be healthy, in order for me to be aware of myself. I remember so many times he talked about mindfulness. We even had a guest. Part of being mindful is also to know that I am aware that this is my genetic makeup and this is what works for me. This is what I'm not going to do to another person. This is not going to be the reason why we will not have this. I read somewhere in the facts where they said that out of 300,000 sickle cell childbirths, 150,000 is from Nigeria. Like we have childbirths with people who have given birth to sickle cell children, 150,000. That's no small number.
I agree.
And then now we will now look at the medical implications of having SS kids in Nigeria as a whole. We'll now look at the kind of things, and there's not even government, how would I say, maybe a particular budget for them. So it's so important that we now put it in our conscious that I will be aware of what I am. I will be aware of the kind of person that I want to be with. And I think that this has posed so much great danger. As much as it has had its advantage, it has also posed so much great danger to people who have been in relationships for like 5 to 10 years.
Yes.
Some people even use that as a reason to break up.
Yeah.
You understand? When they would say, okay, we have been in a relationship for 5 years, and that's when you remember that, oh, let's go and do genotype test.
Let me take it from there. I know of a colleague that he knows his blood group is AS. Before he goes into any relationship, like God's Beauty said, he always asks the girl, what's your blood group? And I mean, he tries as much to take a step further to find out, to check. I mean, it's just 1-5, if I'm not mistaken. Then he's always free at some hospitals to check your blood group. Now, I'll read out a bit of some tests to take before marriage. It's a mistake before entering a relationship because, I mean, at times it sounds weird to ask about blood group and genotype in relationship or talking stage. But when you're about to take the bold step to get married, there are some important tests. They say it on radio, they say it in TVs, on social media, you find it there. All these online nurses, they always talk about some tests to take before getting married. And I will be saying it again, I'll be reiterating it again. Your blood group, either O+, O-, HIV/AIDS test, semen analysis, fertility test, semen analysis for the male, fertility test for the females, sexually transmitted disease test, genotype test, chronic diseases test, maybe there's a hereditary chronic disease. Check mental health assessment, genotype test, hepatitis A, B, C, blood count, blood glucose test, genetic medical history, thyroid function testing, among many other testing you should do before getting
it almost
married.
seems like
I
a
actually
lot.
agree.
It almost seems like a
It
lot.
seems
When
like
somebody
quite
is
a lot.
when somebody is listening to it, it seems like a lot. But if you really look at it, a lot of hospitals are now trying to do it as a package deal
Yeah.
for you to do.
100K, do
But
all
now
of
we are
these
talking
tests.
about people who know these things. What about people who are, let me say, artisans who don't even have Android phones,
Right.
and then they might make this decision? Because if you look at it, most let me say middle age, I think people on the middle, I don't know how we always put it, high
Average,
class, like
average,
middle
yeah.
class and all those
Okay,
things.
okay.
People in the middle class are now very informed about these things, and most times they only want to have 2-3 kids, and then they are still conscious about their genotype.
Right.
But we now have people in like the lower class,
class.
not informed about genotype tests, not informed about even hepatitis B,
don't
all
have
of
to
that
track
stuff,
that
and then they get married out of mutual
Love.
understanding. Not necessarily love, because sometimes you just see that it's matchmaking, and then they get married. And they now go on to have about 5 to 10 kids. And even those days, you hear Abiku, you give birth to one, is
Yes,
Abiku, you give birth to
yes,
another
yes,
Abiku,
yes.
They'll now
Abiku.
start putting tribal marks for innocent
Yes.
children.
And then at some point, they will now manage to give birth to one that now stays. Then they will now name
Kokumo,
the
Agagu.
and all those things. These are common things that we have heard, but are now being... We looking at it now, it's not like, oh, the reason why these people were dying was not just because
the
something
whole
was wrong.
spirit,
It was,
whatever.
yes, was
Spirit,
snatching the children. It's now about the fact that there was not enough awareness that time to know that your genotype components can alter the kind of number of kids you have, the number of kids that can even stay alive. You also see some kids that maybe they get ill like almost every time. They'll still say it's spiritual thing.
Unrelated, but I remember that you have a trip to Makoko pretty soon.
Yeah.
Please try to include it in your plan. Educate the people. I saw a video from Makoko slum, this thing where they still give birth in a midwife place. Giving birth in a midwife place is not bad, but there are some things that can be avoided at the midwife's place. For instance, they said the baby is not pushing this, and you're using herbs to treat something that can be manageable. Please, if you go with a doctor, the test is just to puncture it and just put it on this thing to educate them on genotype and blood group. Let them be aware there's something called AA, there's something called AS. If 2 AS should get married, it is wrong. There's nothing as priceless as peace of mind. God's beauty.
I agree.
You can be broke, but you are healthy, you don't owe anybody. That's enough. Then you're broke. You're thinking of money to buy drugs. You're thinking of when to restock or take Junior to the hospital to go and collect this jab or that. We had an interview recently on special children. It is not fun. How much are they making in a month? How much are they spending on those children? Just showing themselves, they are not happy.
Yes, I get that. I need to quickly read some things I found on the internet as regards genotype. And they sounded very funny to me about people who mentioned genotype awareness in Nigeria. One person said, I'm not looking for a genotype, I'm looking for a partner in crime. But AS or AA is a plus. Another one said, genotype awareness is like a relationship status. It's complicated. Every time when somebody asks you, oh, what's your genotype? It's complicated. Last 2 years, I tested and I got AS. Then another year, I now turned back to AA. So that's like another complication. Another person said, I asked my crush for her genotype, and she said, I'm not a lab result. I'm a human being.
That one a red flag. Red
That's red flag.
Well, somebody also said, I'm not a genotype expert, but I can tell you that AS plus AS is equal trouble. Well, genotype awareness is a crucial topic in Nigeria, especially considering the high prevalence of sickle cell disease in the country. In Nigeria, the awareness and knowledge of premarital genotype screening are still relatively low. Studies have shown that only about 30% of individuals in some states are aware of the importance of screening before marriage. This lack of awareness can lead to unintended consequences, such as birth of children with sickle cell disease. A bill as regards genotype awareness was sponsored by a lawmaker, and his name is Honorable Akin Rotimi. The bill sponsored by Honorable Akin Rotimi reads, I don't know if you can feature what the genotype read, but he said that you cannot give, marriage certificate will not be issued to anyone from the court without a genotype screening test. And if you forge your genotype test too, you shall be, you pay, I think, 1 million naira, or you face 1 year in prison.
That's okay.
Yes. So those were the things that he mentioned in his proposed bill for genotype awareness, because of how much, look at it, how we have 1,050 kids being given birth to as sickle cell, agents. So it's so important that, genotype awareness is very key. But first off, can we first ask ourselves, how can genotype awareness be promoted? And what's with this sudden, I think from 10 years ago, genotype awareness was not so key to anybody. Nobody really cared about it.
Yes.
But why is it now so prevalent now? Apart from the statistics that people have now told us that 1,050 or 150,000 kids are giving birth to every year with sickle cell. What other things do you think have given us this awareness?
The rise in...
yes, we need to go on a break right now.
Please.
And then when we come back, we'll discuss this. Stay with us.
Another Shiloh is here. God's agenda for 2024 is wisdom. Wisdom is the principal thing that makes things work. Everybody needs the oil of wisdom. The challenges are changing dimensions. So the wisdom to deal with them must keep changing dimensions. It's time to get wiser.
God terminated 8 years barrenness in this exalted altar.
I get back to the set of twin baby boys at 50 years after 17 and a half years.
Lord, I need the baptism of this ever-winning wisdom. Shiloh 2024 is December 10 to 15. Thank you, Jesus. Amen.
Welcome back from that break. I want to quickly read something somebody said. So I put it on my status and I asked people what's the one thing they're grateful for.
Oh, okay.
And somebody said for health and life. And this person mentioned that he has been sick most of the year, and then December, he has been the strongest. And even though it's been, he said, even though it's just been 5 days into December, I feel at my strongest, and I can't wait to say Happy New Year. So I can't wait to wish you Happy New Year too, Chris. I hope that this new year brings you all the best things of life, and I hope that you also get the healing that you want. So back to genotype awareness. What happened within the space of, I think from last year to this year, all we have heard is genotype, 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 genotype. What changed? What happened?
We are getting more educated. Godspeed, would you want to say something?
I think I'll start with the fact that, I mean, the world is evolving. There's, I mean, medical research that is done now. We have education. I mean, unlike before, I feel like everything in education is now taken more seriously now. I mean, we are more in a modernized world. You talked about the Ibukun, whatever. I think there's a book I read too where I was like pretty younger about the whole Ibukun thing again. Where one child dies.
Abiku. Oh.
Permit me, I'm so sorry. You know I'm not from this word, you feel me? So back in it, make on a no vex, I beg. Continuation, right? I mean, there are books I read about it, and at first I really didn't even get the memo of what like information I was getting. Because I think it was a drama. I think I should be in secondary school by then or so, and I still did not get what exactly like the information what I was being passed and all. But I think with time, due to education, everybody is now understanding what genotype is, how important it is, and I mean, we even okay. Speaking of why, I mean, look at how rampant it is now. What's his singer's name? Adekunle Gold. Yeah. Do you know he's also like
yes, he
exactly?
is.
And for the past, I think 1 year, he has not only just added funds and money and all. He has also like hold programs where he has talked about it. So yeah, there's a lot of education. There's a lot of medical research that's been done, and I think that's why people are now aware of it than previously.
Okay, what about you?
In addition to it, people are more aware to it now because we are not enlightened. Almost everybody is now on social media. Even those markets where they now have an Android phone.
Yeah.
That's why when you go to parties, you will see people going on live on Facebook. That is their own level of exposure. So everybody's getting exposed. And the children we give birth to nowadays, they will open at the moment, why do you give birth to me when you know you want to punish me?
Right.
Mommy, why is that I cannot join my friends to play football in school? Because there are so many times and conditions you give them. Oh, don't play football. Oh, when you this thing,
don't eat this. Don't do this.
And they are kids. They are inquisitive. They are curious. They want to know why they cannot join. They are made to eat this. They want to know why. And you just hearing those things, they are so hurtful to the ears. So I think that's why we have more awareness. And then there is now rise in special children, people living with disability. Nobody wants to go through that thing. If it's avoidable, please. If not because of you, avoid because of those.
Can we quickly
children.
talk about religious beliefs when it comes to genotype?
I've heard where they said that.
By what?
Vaginismus, the fear of having sex. There's some religious beliefs that they're so scared of penetration. And it's a psychological belief. I don't know if you know Tito, the writer. She suffered vaginismus for about 6-8 months in her marriage. She was scared of having sex. She was scared of penetration.
Well,
and it is backed by the thou shalt not fornicate, thou shalt not commit.
Yeah,
while I would not want to go into details about that particular one, I really want us to talk about genotype in particular when it comes to religion. And first is of the side that they can tell you that there's some advanced churches where they now insist that when you come for marriage counseling, you must come with your genotype test and all these tests. Yes. But there's still some, in fact, majority of churches and mosques where they feel like it doesn't matter, where they feel that I don't want to use the popular quote of what God cannot do does not exist, because I would not want to put a cliche on that quote. Yeah. But I want to also say that a lot of times people will say, don't worry, God will change it. Don't worry, the God that put two of you together would make sure that your kids do not come out like that. Some people also will go and lie to maybe all these religious people and also say that because they love each other, they will not do it. Some people are also ignorant of the fact that these things exist. They even know, but they'll still feel that it doesn't apply to me.
That's because there is already that notion of what God cannot do does not exist. Trust me when I say that. There is already this mentality of they don't see God as a miracle worker. There's a difference between miracle and magic. That's the problem. So many Christians see, like when we talk about God and everything, they see it in that magical set and they call it miracle.
Because it turned water to wine.
Exactly, and they call it miracle. You feel me? So, I mean, you already know that when AS and AS give birth, there's every tendency that they can give birth to an SS, right? So tell me why you already know that and you come up with that form of, oh, what God cannot do does not exist. It's a different thing if you don't know about it. It's a different thing if you guys have done all of this checkup, all of this whatever, and you end up giving birth to something else that is totally different and is all shocking. That's when you can now bring that notion of, oh, God is a miracle worker and he will work on it. Many people have that mindset or that mentality of God is a magician and they call him miracle. You feel me? So until that is worked on, you talk about the fact that, you know, there are some churches now, they are well advanced and all, and that's because the pastors are educated enough to know that there's a very big difference between miracle and magic, and you should know the one to do and follow God on it, and not when you see something like it's plain, it's obvious, it's visible, and you still want to jump on it and you say that God will help you.
God's beauty on the flip side, though, there are times the fear of, if you leave this person, who will I marry? You might be dating someone for as long as 2, 3, 4 years.
And that has nothing to do with religion.
That's
the love thing we are talking about.
Yes, I want to quickly ask about love also.
Yeah.
We've addressed religious beliefs when it comes to genotype. Now, talking about love, I've been with, just like I've said, I've been with this person for 10. Nobody knows me like this person. Nobody can treat me better than this person. And for that reason, you feel that, okay,
let's take the risk.
Let's take
Love
the risk.
all.
And I want to quickly say that people have this belief that your first, when you are AS and AS, your first child will be AS.
Okay,
or AS, your second child might also be AS, then it's from the third born that it can now be SS. But now, from recent facts is that your firstborn can be SS. Your secondborn can also decide to be SS. Then your thirdborn can now decide to be either AS or
Permit me to read out this compatibility genotype table. Here we have AA and AA, they can get married to each other. And compatibility rating is 100%.
Right.
AA and AS, they can marry. But compatibility rating is 75%. AA and SS, 50%. They can also marry. AS and AS, 25%, not recommended at all. AS and SS, 0%, not recommended at all. Which means if AA should marry AS and if AA should marry SS, it can still be managed.
Yeah.
So let's not totally talk it out. It can
AA and AS.
Yes, AA and AS, it can
Of course
managed.
it can.
AA and
It's where there are
SS,
double
it can
S that
still be
becomes a
married.
problem.
But when there's a double S in
Like
the
the
chromosome,
AS and AS, that's
Yes,
where there's a
basically,
problem.
it has been mentioned that AS people are carriers of the sickle cell.
Yeah.
So that's why medically they have asked that these two people should not come together.
I'm
Because
trying
there's
to
a high
remember
tendency.
this American movie that trended recently. One funny, it was on Netflix, where if one of your parents is sickle cell, you have a
supercell.
I mean, it was very interesting.
Yes. Maybe that's, would I address that of another funny thing that I don't know if we should embrace? The fact that, yes, these things are, we're trying to throw in awareness here.
Yeah.
But then a movie comes out that says that you can be a superhero. I know that might be like a form of encouragement to people who have these things, but is that really the way forward for us when it comes to awareness of these issues?
I think they are just enlightening people from their own aspect.
And
I mean, from a movie production. Is it sugar-coated?
I feel like it was sugar-coated. God will
No,
not give you able to fly as a normal
that is
human
why
being.
it's a movie. I'm not supposed to come and tell you a story just make it plain. You know, go watch them, and that's why we keep complaining about Nollywood.
Yes.
So that's why we keep complaining about Nollywood. But they are out there. I mean, Hollywood people. There's a way they think. There's a way their script writer write their scripts. You cannot come and be giving me plain shit. You feel me? So that's the reason why that movie is the way it is. But trust me, they have passed their information. So it's on you to get it.
Okay, so I want to also ask this very funny question. So while I was reading about genotype awareness, I saw other genotypes like AC, SC,
Yes.
I think even CC, CT,
Yes.
and so many variants of genotype.
Right.
But we have been talking about the most commonly ones. So if I'm going to ask a direct question to both of you, if you find a wonderful partner and his genotype is SC, what's going to be your first thought, and would you get married to the person?
Google, can AA and SC get married?
Yes, because some
My
of those...
sister, can AA and SC get married? Hospital, can AA, after getting those 3 answers, then we decide.
Okay, what about you, God's Beauty?
Same, actually. You see, the thing is, I get it when people say that, oh, it's 10 years and all of these things. So there are two things. Either a guy gets married and don't give birth. I mean, that's why we have orphanage homes. There are so many children that actually need parents. So you can probably choose that option. But if you know that, I don't have an issue with adopting, actually. Like, I will tell you any day, anytime.
Don't, but if you
I will
look
tell
at
you
African,
that any day,
especially
anytime.
Yoruba parents,
Very easy
Yoruba
said
parents,
than done.
if they don't see you
so
pushing,
it means that your sex life will be based on using of protectives or the other method.
That's why we have family planning.
My darling, have you read of the advanced effects of family planning?
But again, you have to see, you have to
But
pick.
there's vasotomy, the ectotomy.
Exactly. So the man can decide.
we
I
have
mean,
always said that
so
there's always the advantage and
advantages
disadvantages
to
of all
things.
these things.
Exactly.
But do you think now that marriage should be the only reason why you should get tested? Because I think that a lot of people is only when they want
workplaces
to
even
marry.
ask for health results, health reports.
Yeah, so that they don't end up getting somebody that will always fall sick and fall sick.
So hospital,
How do
workplaces
you
now
think
take
it gets
excuse.
affected if I submit my health report and it says that I'm XC or I'm SS or I'm AC or I'm CT
That's
or I'm
what
CC?
those things now take us back to self-love. Healthy self-esteem. No. See, sweetheart.
Do you know what it means to go to
if you know yourself, right? You agree this is who you are, and nothing can actually change it. Let's forget the whole what God cannot do does not exist. And you go to a certain place and they tell you that, oh, due to your health conditions and all of that, we cannot employ you. Sweetheart, you carry your bags and you go. It's as simple as even people. I mean, even people that are fat and all of those things, apart from genotype, whatever.
And you are qualified. Everything says you're qualified.
Oh,
like there was a time I mentioned here that I
don't just like sentiments.
I lost an apartment when I was searching for an apartment because I was a journalist. I was qualified. I had the money. I was spent. Just imagine I went through first test, second test, interview, everything. I was qualified and I already have the job. But I submitted my test result and I was AS, and the company feel it's not easy to just back off.
Sweetheart, I am not saying that it's not paying you. I am not saying that you will not feel certain type of way. Of course you will.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is you carry your bag and you move on.
I really need to.
That's what you do.
While you have said, that's for somebody that sort of has like high self-esteem. And I will tell you, even the people with the most self-esteem, if you get turned down by something that haunts you every day, you will go home maybe with your shoulders high, but there's going to be one tear that would definitely drop from you.
I am not disputing that.
I know that you are not. I'm just saying that there's also the face. There's like two sides to it. They say there's two sides to the coin, which means that if you have high self-esteem, you can sit up and gather your muscles together and go again and probably find something else that doesn't require you to submit those things, and then you put your talent and energy into it.
Right.
But there's also the face of everybody now starts to say, we can't take you. We can't take you. Just like people who are albinos. Right. There's a lot of places where they will go and they say, you are not TV worthy, you are not reception worthy, you are not this one, you are not that one. And even if they have that high self-esteem, it now sort of either builds up or now limits how far they can go in life. So it's just like two sides to it. It can happen that I can pick myself up. It can also happen that it will build up to the point that it will lead to suicide, it will lead to this, it will lead to that. But because we need to... Because we need to wrap up.
First-class students are not appreciated anymore.
Because we need to wrap up right now, how do we... Like, give me one thing that you will tell somebody who doesn't know their gender their genotype right now, and people living with sickle cell disease. Just one thing for both of them.
In one word, go and get your genotype test done. It's 1,500. Even if it's 5,000, get it done. For people living with sickle cell right now, I'm sending you all the virtual loves and light. I wish you all the best. Please stay sharp, stay strong.
Honestly speaking, the fact that you are alive till now, trust me that you would live it forever till when God says it's time to get home. You feel me? So regardless of what people think about you, keep moving. That's my own mantra. Like, that's what I do. So regardless of what people have to say about me, we keep moving, baby.
Thank you, ladies, for this insightful discussion and your contributions. Thank you, viewers. Join us tomorrow as we will discuss something else that's important and you should know. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Hello, you. Yes, you. This is Usayome Sale from Ways Primetime. Now, we appreciate your continued support for watching our content, following us across all our social media. But we've noticed, for those of you watching us on YouTube, 88.5% of you who watch our content aren't subscribed to our channel. Why? Now, if you are enjoying our content, you enjoy our shows, and you want to stay updated on all things Ways, it's time to hit that subscribe button below. Now, subscribing isn't just for you. It's for the growth of our channel. It helps us get bigger and better. With your support, we can continue to bring even more intriguing and exciting content. How about you subscribing right now and being a part of our community?